Alright, testing. It's been a while since I've streamed something. Let's make sure everything still works. Cool, man. What's up, Cesar? How you been, man? What's up, Ryan? Just getting a suggestion from YouTube. It's telling me my stream's bitrate is 0. So if you guys notice any audio problems, just let me know. What's up, Gustavo? How you been? Took a short break there from the MK hacking scene there for a while. I've kind of honestly been sucked into playing a game instead of hacking games. Um, so I have to wean myself away from that for a little bit because it's a very addictive game. Um, but yeah, me too, Cesar. But today I just pretty much want to get back up to speed, probably go over what's been done to MK1. Um, if you're not aware, it is a hack that is aimed towards the T-unit hardware, and everything that's done on here should comply with hardware, so you can run this in your machine. It's going to be a 6 ROM kit. Obviously, you have 2 program ROMs, and then you'll have 4 graphics ROMs. It may be a 7th ROM, depending on audio. We'll see about the audio. I know my friend James has been working very hard on the sound for MK1. I want to say it's Yamaha PCM, AD PCM, if I'm right. I'm sure he'll correct me on that if he sees this, but he's done a nice video and actually written a nice app that will load in sounds and whatnot from the sound ROMs from the audio that's used in the MK1 on my units. But this is T units, but it still uses the same audio system because it didn't. MK didn't start using DCS until MK2, so everything there should apply here as far as James's work is concerned. All right, so let's go. Let's first off, I just created a thread on the MK Plus forums, and it's pretty much going to be a change log of what's been done to MK1. What I'd like to do, other ideas, graphics, minor changes, big changes, stuff like that. So if you want to add your input on that, feel free to go over to the Mortal Kombat Plus forum and get in there and let me know what you think. If you have any ideas, stuff like that, I'll try to keep this up to date as possible. But I also like to write this down in this assembler program, which this is a nice program, by the way, made by Vistus. It's helped me for many years, especially through MK2 Plus, and also drew with UMK3 Plus. So I tend to do a lot of writing in here, so hopefully when the change log gets updated, it's actually in the forum here so everybody can see it. So without further ado, let's see. So if you're not aware of this, I have made Reptile playable. He does retain both Scorpion and Sub-Zero's moves. He has his own nameplate as well. I'll show you here. This is the new main menu. by the way, with Tag Team. It's a new feature. Gameplay setting at the bottom. But as you can see, Reptile has his own portrait, and he will be playable. Another thing I'd like to do is maybe a second fatality for all the characters. I don't know how in-depth or intricate they can be without adding a bunch of new graphics, which isn't totally out of the realm of possibilities, but I mean, I would have to have an artist that would like to make new sprites based on the original ones if we were to do any new poses or anything like that. But my fear in doing new fatalities is, since we're limited with graphics, we probably will have some generic fatalities, like roundhousing someone's head off, or just trying to use existing sprites to their fullest and try to come up with some new creations that don't seem too generic. That's probably gonna be the route we take, unless there is an artist out there that wants to contribute and make some new sprites for new fatalities. Release date. Let me turn up my volume here, Tentry. I'm good, man. How are you? Hi, Master. Release date, no estimate on release date right now. I guess it depends on how much we do, or how much we want to do, how much we get done. But I mean, right now it's already a great improvement, but it's not. I don't think it's to the point to where I want to release the first beta. Because I got Reptile playable. Let's go down the list of things here. So we've got new graphics for Reptile. He has a new palette for Test Your Might, new Frozen palette, new nameplate. Obviously, you've seen that. Portrait, you can see that. Change the fatality and score from green to red when you do a fatality. Also, the flawless victory colors have been changed to a flashing green and white. I may go with blue and white. It's kind of follows the same as MK2 does. Let's see, some fixes. Cage has a restored unused frame in his throw animation. And for some reason they also had a duplicate of his throw move being called. So his throw move was being called twice. So that's been fixed as well. Also, when you fight Shang Tsung, it's no longer on Goro's lair. It's in his throne room, and there are new graphics for his throne chair being empty when you fight him. And the win-in sequence after you defeat Shang Tsung has been improved. The text has been slightly shifted upwards, so you can see what's going on. And what else was there? Oh, I slowed down the actual morphing. After you beat Shang Tsung and he morphs to a character and they kind of slide out of him and disappear. So I slowed that down so he would only do one character each time instead of doing repeats, which didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. So I feel that's improved overall. Let's see. Scorpion's got a forward teleport. Sub-Zero, this is kind of like just a little thing I want to see if I can accomplish, but I did make a nice clone move for him, which is kind of a little, I guess, unusual since he didn't have it in part 2, but in part 3 he had it. And all these moves that are added, amongst other things, are going to be purely optional, especially anything that affects gameplay. Because I like to keep the core gameplay as original as possible. So Sub-Zero has a nice clone. There's some other moves I'm thinking about doing, like maybe giving Raiden's Superman the ability to do it in the air, and then kind of maybe seeing if other characters have any moves that can be added or tweaked to improve or add to their functionality, so it's balanced between the characters. Um, let's see. Oh, I changed Sonia's projectile input to. Sorry about that. My microphone went out when my headset turned off from no input being played. So change Sonia's projectile input to back low punch. I'm trying to remember what it was originally, but it was something weird. It was like back and then low punch and back at the same time. It was I don't know. It was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was really awkward. It was not a standard input to do her projectile. So I felt like that needed to be addressed. So I fixed that. And of course, there's going to be cheats added to the game for fun, replayability, stuff like that, like ran for combat, fast uppercuts, sans power, super uppercuts, maybe some debug style ones, display hitboxes, disable background music, stuff like that. Fun fact: the display hitboxes. If I remember correctly, I did this a while ago, but if I remember correctly, they were already they were already written, but they were jumped over. So that is added to the game as a cheat. And there's another fix that was done that I don't even have listed because I didn't remember it when I remade this list. But let's see here. Should do it on the website so I can stay true to the changelog. But I did fix another bug in the game. When you first start the game up, it will always show Kano's bio, but it originally planned on having it to be randomized, and I fixed that so the biography that's shown at the beginning of the game when you boot up will be random every time. So let's see, let's do. Let's do a new category here, factory fixes. And I got to update this module because the module looks like it's a little weird looking, but let's see. Okay, it's just blank space. Okay, so all right, so that's added to the list. What's up, Drew? What's up, Michael? Yep, it's back, baby. We are back at it. The grind continues here. Choo choo. But yeah, Master, the going back to the Sonya projectile input, it was really strange. So it wasn't. Man, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to recall it, but it was something weird. Yeah, like low punch and then back and low punch at the same time. It was inconsistent. So I made it. I made it a little more standard with back low punch. I hope people don't mind that too much. I think it would be a welcomed change. But that's my opinion. All right, so to do, These are the things that are coming up to do. I'm going to make an ultimate palette for Reptile. I gotta check his unique power. Let's see, a portrait for his tower. I think currently he has scorpions, maybe? Yeah, so you see he's got scorpions now. So one of the things to do is make his unique tower portrait kind of just like his select screen portrait. Um, and this is a big request by Abystus. He wants to kind of improve the input or hit registration. I don't know how much work that's going to involve between this game and MK2, but it does seem like MK2 is a lot snappier. So we'll look into that. I got a theory on why that is. I hope I'm wrong, because if I'm right, I don't know if that can be addressed, because it seems like there's going to be a lot of work if we were to change that. Hey, thanks there, Billy Time. I appreciate that. So the way my theory between the two games is, when it comes to MK2 and later, like MK3 and UMK3, they used a different setup when doing the sprite segmentations, because between the MK2 and newer UMK3 games, they use a 2 to 3 sprite segment per character. And in MK1, they actually had 7 to 8 segments. So they were taking 7 to 8 sprites and going through everything they would do to those sprites. They would go through a loop and do it to the other 6 or 7 sprites. And that would make up one complete frame of the character. So there's a lot more tedious code involved when doing it, and I'm thinking that's probably why the game feels a little bit slower when it comes to maybe the mechanics, because the computer's got to go through, it's got to process all those commands for each of the segments of the sprites. If you were to flip them or move them, stuff like that. So that's my theory. If that's the case, I'm not sure how deep I want to get into that. I can maybe change that. It might take a little bit. I'll have to go back to MK2 and study a little bit more on how it does it. But I know in MK2, Player 1 and Player 2, they have dedicated areas in RAM that are allocated to the sprite segments, 2 to 3, because it can be a maximum of 3 segments depending on the character pose. And since each of these characters are composed in MK1 of 7 to 8 sprites, I don't know if that's even going to be possible, because you're calling 7 to 8 sprites, like I said, and no matter how much code you change, you're still going to have to redo the sprites at that point. That way you're only calling 2 to 3 sprites instead of 7 to 8, so you're going to have to make larger sprites. And if I'm right on that aspect, that's not going to be possible without a huge, huge, huge amount of work. We're talking redoing the sprites, segmenting them so the characters are composed of a maximum of 3 sprites total. And then probably, I want to say 6 to 7 bits per pixel for each. I mean, it's going to be a load of work. And I think that amount of time can be focused elsewhere in the game to bring much more improvements, I feel. So I hope I'm not right, but I'm almost certain that's going to be the case with that. All right, so let's see. I think I've covered everything. That was a good refresher on what's been done. I had a nice idea of what to start on today. I'm trying to recall what that was. Oh yeah, let's finish the rest of the to-do list. Tower opponents are changing when playing as Reptile. I think that's a bug. Can't completely remember what that one was, but I'm sure it'll come back to me. And also, we gotta add some new AI stuff for the computer, so they can anticipate the new moves that were added, or else you can keep spamming like the forward teleport or the ice clone, and they'll fall for it every time. So that's no fun because that's too easy. So we'll fix that as well. That's probably going to fall in line with the improved computer AI. And that's about it. There may be more. I will probably remember more and add them to the list as I go on. And obviously, with all MK Plus games, we have a dedicated new settings area, which you can adjust stuff. So we have play style, classic, tournament, turbo. Turbo is going to be your likes of, let's say, Turbo Ninja mode, where you have elevating opponents when you freeze them. You're going to have faster recovery times, stuff like that. Classic is just going to be the normal. Tournament mode, kind of, you know, iffy about this one, just because I know there's a competitive scene out there for the game, but it seems like that scene's been around for so long that they're used to the classic gameplay. So it may or may not happen. I would like to balance the game out some more, but if I do, that's going to be a little bit down the list there. So game mechanics, this option generally. Oh yeah, that's another one. Crossovers. That applies to crossover moves. So now if you jump over your opponent and then you kick after you cross sides with them, your kick or punch, whichever one you do, will be thrown back towards the direction of your opponent. Kind of like what the MK2 and MK3 games do, and almost every other fighting game. So that is added. I want to say that also does another option. Let me see. Mechanics. I want to say there's one more thing that does. That'll come to me. But for the main part, that's what that does. You can do crossovers, which feel a lot better in the game. Extra moves. Yeah, this is, you know, on-off settings for the extra moves that I've added to the game. Randomizer, this is pretty cool. It's kind of like a staple in all the MK Plus games. So this will randomize the character select screen portrait layout, and it will also randomize your fight ladder sequences so they're not so static. So if I remember correctly, I don't know if it's just 6 ladders, or if I'm confusing that with UMK3, but there's only 6 static ladders, I believe. So this takes it and just completely randomizes it, your opponent list. And there's some display settings, combo display. Oh, there's also a new versus screen, which takes the still screen images, which make a little video like their bios, and it puts them on the character select screen, the versus screen. I've shown that before. It's pretty nice, and it does work on hardware. We'll see if I can't show that off here real fast before we get started. It runs a little slow on my computer with debugging, but it does work, and it works pretty good on hardware as well. So I think that's a big plus. Again, that is also an option. If you want the old ones, you're fully capable of keeping the old ones. Hey, what's up there? 2009 Lucho, Axel. Nice to see you guys. Hope you guys are having good times. Billy time. I'm glad you're loving it, dude. I appreciate the Red Bulls. All right, so let's get started. I think the overview, the rundown has been done. Before I forget, let's edit this and add the new versus screen because I don't think that's on this list here. New moves, cheats, edit. Let's do. I've got chords sprawled out across my keyboard. Try to get these out of my way. All right, so we got additional options. Let's just name that, and we'll do new versus screen. And what else was there? Oh, we have oops, wrong button. We have improved mechanics. If I can spell. I think that was about it. Because we have the moves up here. Okay, those moves. All right, so we've added that. So now, where do we want to begin? That's the question. What do we want to work on here? Do we want to go straight into the AI? No palettes, definitely no palettes. Those aren't fun to watch. There was something I was working on, which you guys haven't seen yet. It's a game mode where two human players can play, but they're playing on the same side and they're playing against two computer opponents. So it's like 2v2 human versus CPU, but with two players. I started doing that. Matter of fact, I know it's not done yet, but let me see if I can't kind of give you an idea of what it's looking like. There's a lot of work to be done, but kind of give you a look at what's going on there. And some other things came up, like where do I put the second health bar? You know, I mean, am I really going to have 3 health bars on the screen at once? Stuff like that. So, I don't know. It's just an idea. Key, what's up, Key? There's no ETA on release. This is one of those projects that I kindly do in my free time. So the more free time I get, the more I can work on it. And it all depends on how much work we plan on doing. But it'll probably come out in a couple series of betas like the other ones where we release it and get some feedback and then add some more to it, tweak it, fix some stuff like that. So, but at this point, I have no ETA when it would be released. Maybe a couple months. I don't know. So let's see here. Instance IDs. Where is that? Game state. Okay, let me open up. Trying to find my script for it here. Time of day. Oh, there was another idea I was throwing around. Time of day cycle, where you can fight, dark at nighttime, daytime. Like for instance, the palace courtyard here could have a dark, dark sky, stuff like that. But I would definitely need some more work. And there was another idea that I read somewhere. Another game developer said they originally wanted to do a branching ladder. Uh, you know what? It was Sega Genesis version of Mortal Kombat. Oh man, what's his name? I follow him on Twitter now, but he worked for Acclaim, um, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and he said that they wanted to do a branching ladder when you're playing as uh, one player, and you can kind of decide your path if you're going to be good or evil, depending on how you finish your opponent. And they were thinking about nighttime stages, stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see, but that thread is on the website. So if you guys have ideas like that, feel free to put them on there, and I'll take a look at them. So anyhow, back to my script here. Let's see, was it in here? 2v2, transfer handshake, character select, round time increase, tag mode, component. Trying to find out where I stuffed that. Yeah, it wasn't in here. Maybe it was. Let me double check. No, that's not it. That's not it. There's no scripts in there at all. Options, different moves, mechanics, combo display settings, turbo mode adjustments, test your might. Those are just additional moves. Beats, mechanics, aerial moves, modify. Oh yeah, that's right. We also have modified roundhouse. So you roundhouse your opponent. It does the later MK games where you actually get thrown backwards in it. Let's add that before I forget. Very important to have a change log because, if you don't, you'll be in my situation where you come across things you forget you did, and then you got to go back and add it. So we do roundhouse reaction, and we have aerial moves and crossovers. We'll just add that right there. All right, so that's that. Let's see, let's go back. Then tweaks, no. I know I got a script here already for it. All right, so let's do this. I know I've got it somewhere, but actually, let's go into for a second there. I was wondering if I did it for UMK3, but I don't think that's the case. I'm sure it's K1. 2v2. Let's see, tag mode. Okay, here we go. Check for ultimate custom game mode. There we go. So 131.0480 is going to be. That's going to be where it is, and I believe it's probably going to be custom RAM. There we go. See, I know I had it right here. 3 equals co-op. So that would be the game mode. 131.0480. And this will be, yep, here we go. This actually needs a space in between. Alright, so if we were to start a game and then change that to 3, it would kind of give you an idea of what's going on with it. Although I don't remember the current status of it. So what you see is definitely going to be incomplete. So that's player 2 jumping and controlling. But he's obviously has no screen focus right now, and the computer doesn't acknowledge. And I now remember that his attacks were not made yet. And you can see the computer was bound to player 2's distance. So the way this game works is there's a minimum and maximum distance allowed. So right now Sonya is at the maximum distance allowed between her and Cage. That's why she can no longer walk towards me. But if I walk Cage towards me, she can walk a little closer. That's another routine that needs to be modified for this game mode. But you get the idea of how it works. So that's an idea, some co-op mode. So there's still some base routines that need to be modified, like the minimum maximum position between characters. As you can see, that Cage doesn't abide to the screen, and also Sonya is kind of at the limits of second player's distance. So there's many more things to consider as well. Like I said, for instance, the health bar. You know, what can we do for the health display for Johnny Cage? Because obviously he's got to have a health bar. Do we just draw a totally new health bar for him? I mean, that's a possibility. So we can put his health bar maybe underneath, you know, player 1's health bar. Possibility, I guess. But that's where you guys come in and, you know, give me your opinions. Maybe you guys can think of something better. What's up, Gabuloso? Yeah, I did change log that roundhouse right now, Master. It's underneath the mechanics option because that's how you enable it. All right, so I remember why now that I couldn't find the actual script that was kind of made for this 2v2 co-op deal is because it's all tied into the original 2v2. It just checks for game mode, and it goes from there. Like, it'll check to see if the custom game mode is 3, because that would equal co-op. If that's the case, then we'll do that. So and all those are going to be tied into the existing core routines, like the minimum maximum position between two fighters, as you can tell, you know, between Sonya and Cage. That needs to be addressed. Obviously, the second player needs to have a health bar. That needs addressed. And then we'll have to handle how the computer focuses on an individual player. Ideally, they'd probably do the closest player. Maybe the player that hit them last, but that might not be a good idea when it comes to projectiles, because it might leave them vulnerable if the other player was a little closer, even though the projectile hit them from further away. But there's a lot of things to take into consideration when doing that. But it's very early. It's just an idea at this point. It's not too hard coded in there yet. There's a couple checks for it. let's see, like this is the round start when it's a 2v2, and this is going to create our new procedure here for our game modes. Array game modes should be up here. Routines and strings. So here's our routines. So that's 0, that's 1, that's 2, and this is obviously 3. If we go create co-op mode, this will be the script that gets fired, or the procedure that gets created when co-op mode is detected. And it's going to check to see if player 1 is human. If so, it's going to add the new player, the co-op player on the same side. So, and that's all there is to that, because this is pretty much just a round start routine. And then after that, a lot of it gets taken over by existing core routines, which will in turn check to see if it's co-op mode. That way we can make our changes if it's co-op mode to the base routines. Alright, so let's navigate away from this. I just want to show you that. That's nothing we're going to work on right now. I'm trying to get something small going here because it's been a while. I don't want to dive too deep today. Just want to get my feet wet here. And I've noticed there's a bug with this game too, just like MK2. Sometimes you'll have this longest win streaks. It'll be blank, but it only affects emulation. And there's the randomization of the biographies. So you see you didn't get Kano. We got Liu Kang. Obviously, there's your 2v2 tag team. I'm not sure how this... Okay, so we got our primary characters for our bios. It's been a while since I've messed with this tag team. Obviously, there's a bug right there. We have Sub-Zero jumping the wrong way. See if this... Well, I've got an idea here. I don't think I've did this combination yet, but let's try. That works great. The everlasting throw bugs when we're tagging. Those things take so much caressing to get working right. Like the way that works though. You know, I'm pretty sure I looked for Liu Kang's. You know, Okay, that's a bug. I was gonna say, I thought there was a frame missing for that, but I want to say his threads ended prematurely, and that's why it stops animating, if I remember correctly. It's another thing we'll look at. So let's let's log this stuff here, because we're gonna fix all these little minor problems here. Alright, so that's that. Let's do... We can probably address the... Probably adjust the flip. Well, that's not going to work because we have unlimited health right now. Funny picture. Another minor change there. There's a little pause between flawless victory and fatality. It no longer overwrites itself. Alright, so let's save this state because we're going to fix it. Alright, so let's go and fix that flip problem here. Let's see, 2v2, game modes, I believe. Oops, we've already got that open. Nope, no, it's not that one. Let me see here. No, this is actually is right. Round start. Okay, here we go. Alright, so we're going to go to create 2v2 mode. There's no follow there. Put here. Alright, so player 1 flip out, player 2 flip out. Let's go take a look at these calls here and see what's going on. Okay, so yeah, that's basically just going to do a process on character flip out, and if you notice the setup here, our base for this procedure is going to be 280. That's going to be the ID for the procedure, and then pretty much it's just going to add on, you know, what character it is. So player 1's going to have an ID of 0. Player 2 is going to have an ID of 1. So player 1's process would be 280. Player 2 process would be 281. I mean, we can probably just do, you know, move 281 into A1, but I really like that. So it's a little more dynamic if we want to expand it, I guess. Let's see, spawn character flip out. So we're going to go there, and that's going to be the procedure for the code, and then we'll see why player 1 is flipping towards player 2. I'm going to assume he's got an ID problem here, so let's see. So this is going to set up our character. try to put a little bit of ambient noise back because my headset likes to shut off if there's no noise detected. Even though I'm talking through the microphone, it'll still shut off if there is no background music. Alright, so how's the stream so far? Is it having any problems? Any video problems? Any buffering? Any audio problems? Stuff like that? Seems like it's going good. Also, if you guys missed this tweet, this was I think last week. I was testing the actual project on hardware. So you see the new versus screen of the video. I was really kind of concerned about how this would work on the actual hardware, but it seems like it's working really great. So the new versus screen looks good. This little shift in pixels, this is just the video converter. It's a really cheap, crappy Chinese video converter. So it does the job, but it's not real great. You see Reptile with his new graphics there, so all that's working great. Obviously, we had to change the location, and also this is a modification of the medallion because it was bigger, I think, with a ribbon that was way over here. So we added or modified that so that fits too, and it looks great. What's up, Bad Mind? Thanks, man. I'm glad you're looking forward to the updates. Me too. Alright, so back to our little problem at hand. We're going to fix player 1, second character, Scorpion. He's gonna flip forward instead of backwards like he should. If I look closely, I believe his animation's correct. Okay, so it's just a direction. So that shouldn't be too big of a problem to fix. Alright, so alright, so let's just put a breakpoint on this, and we'll go through that code there and see what's going on. Okay, so this is going to set up our character. Let's see, there's going to be a slight delay until the timer is met for the game state timer. So this is our next breakpoint here. So we'll let that roll through. Okay, so this is where it's going to decide where to flip out. You know what? I don't have. I don't have my environmental variables set up right, so that is a problem here with reading some symbols. Alright, so let's see if that, I don't think those are loaded. I'll probably have to refire MAME. Yeah, let me do that real fast. Alright, so you can see these are all my symbols being loaded. It helps debugging immensely, especially when you have a big project. The downside is it is taxing on the CPU, which I hope to get a new one maybe in the springtime, because this old Intel i5 6402P, I believe it's called, is only has 4 cores, and doesn't have any extra threading either, so kind of lame. It can bog down sometimes, but let me get my breakpoint here. There we go. All right, so now we're good. You see, it looks just like it looks like in my script here. Somewhat. So it's going to check to see if we're in custom. We're going to see if we're in game mode 3. If we are, we're going to jump there. If it's going to be game mode 2, which is 2v2. If it's not that, we're going to jump everything else. This is going to be our flip. Let's see, flip left to right, flip right to left. I see, this is not even. This is just doing this command and it's just jumping. So it seems to me we got to have a comparison set here. Or else this is going to jump right from right to left by default. So if we go in here, if we open up 105.6b DO, this would be the location for our thread, our process, I should say, because there's going to be 2 processes running here, one for each of the characters flipping out. And you can see here at the 20 offset, we got 281. And if you remember what I said earlier, 280 was going to be player 1, 280 is going to be player. I'm sorry, 281 is going to be player 2, and 280 is going to be player 1. So right here in this process that we're looking at here, this is player 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to run it, and it's going to stop again almost immediately. And now we should be on player 1's process, 105.550. Oops. And you can see here, that structure, a 20 offset here, we have 280. So this is player 1. So the problem here with this script is we don't have a comparison. What we need to do is add a comparison. So what we want to do is we can do a bit set check, because if we're going to take advantage of the assignments of the processing, like we've got 280, 281, a real easy thing to do would be a bit set checking, which an easy way to think about that is just the last number. Is it even or is it odd? That's what it's going to come down to pretty much. And you can check, say for instance, we go in here to the calculator and we get the programmer one out and we punch in 280, that's player 1. So what we can do is we can do a bit set check on any of these bits to determine value that we're looking for. So you can see 280 is that value, and if we go 281, it's going to have a 1 at the end here for the 1. So we can do a bit set on 0, and it goes from right to left, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So we can do a bit set 0h. It's been a while. Let's see, 0h, and actually we have to move our value in, so let's do the value at a 13, which is our process, and offset is 20, and let's find, actually we can use AO because that register is useless now. We've already got our game mode, and we'll bit set 0, and into AO, and jump to runtime if equal to 0, which 0 would be player 1. We will do flip right to left backwards. So that should fix that problem there. And the same will go for any other instance, any other processes I might do that, say we added a 3rd character or a 4th character, you know, and so on. All player 1s are going to be even numbers. Let's say it would be 280, 282, 284, 286, etc. So this little bit set check here will work for all the players that we might want to go through and check. So that should fix player 1 from jumping out the wrong way. Actually, we can actually force it to go to the address we want, which would be flip right to left. FF8127BO. So this is what should happen if everything goes right. There you go. He jumps out backwards. So the only difference between the two is just the velocity value. Like you can see here, the 60,000 is going to force us to the right, because the way it works is positive value is going to move to the right of the screen. It's going to have a force from left to right. Negative value is going to have a force from right to left. So this here is a negative value. So it's just the inverse of 60,000 pretty much. So if you take that 60,000, let's see, my calculator is, there we go. They changed the calculator on the update. Not seeing the big buttons anymore. But anyways, if you take the, we gotta go D word. That's what this game runs in. Takes the 60,000 and you invert it. It's gonna be FFFAO, which you see right there. So that's the way that works. Same thing with up and down as well. It works the same way. So new colors. You have to explain that Cabuloso. New palettes. Yeah, new palettes are definitely possible. They're easy but tedious. They take some work, but they're worth it if you take the time to do it. Like, I think it would be cool if we go to that, on that point, if we added an alternate Raiden palette, where maybe his electricity was like red instead of blue around the edges. Maybe he had like a red lining around the electricity. I think that would be cool. Same for Kano with a different. I mean, because the darkened palettes are okay, but I think we can definitely do a little bit better on the alternate palettes. All right, so back to where we were. So our addition of these 3 lines is basically just checking the process ID. It's going to check the 0 bit. If it's 0, it means it's going to be a player 1 side character, and we're going to jump to this code here, which is going to make us flip right to left. What's up there, Blaze? You know what we should do before I forget about that? Let's add it to the list. Let's add it to the list. Alright, so that's added. And so what we're going to do now is let's add this. Let's add this to the game. Oh, let's check our errors first. I think it's not a, yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think it was a real error. It was just that's kind of what I call a bookmark. So this is where the co-op mode thing was going. As you can see, that's where I stopped last. But let's add this to the game, and we'll fire it up, make sure that fixes it. I'll mosey on over to my other screen. And we'll patch that in. It's been a while since I've done any patching, so I'm like, okay, MK. TehDrewsus, thanks for the Red Bulls, man. We're like just circling Red Bulls back and forth here. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Let's see. I gotta refresh myself with the ROMs here for the, let's see, graphics T units. I want to say it's 12 T unit driver. Let's see. Do I have my other screen on here? Left display. Let's see. Does this work? Nope. That's the wrong display. See if I can show you guys my other screen here. Display 0. Is that it? There we go. Okay, so there you go. Now you can see the hex editor. And let's reacquaint ourselves with the program ROM names so I get the right ROMs. All right, so we have 12 and 13, 12 being the primary, secondary, okay. 12 and 13, okay. Now that's sound. That's sound. So I'm UJ12, UG12, okay. I think something was off. Alright, so that should do that. Let's fire it up and take a look.
Sub-Zero, Kano, Liu Kang, Sonya.
Alright, so as you can see, fixed our problem with our player flip out. So that's good. It's one problem fixed. Change log. We'll take that out. Alright, so that was pretty simple. Get my feet wet. That's about it today. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get off the stream here, and I'm gonna go put some Christmas ornaments on the tree because we're a little late with that, and they're trying to do it without me, so I can't let them do that. So I'll wrap it up for now, and I'll try to make a regular, maybe a few times a week or something. We'll do some MK stuff on the stream, and we'll go from there. So if you guys have any ideas that you want in the game, just go over to the website, drop them in that thread, and I'll take a look at them. So that concludes the stream. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.